Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Is this thing on? Oh, good.
I am so viscerally afraid of accidentally texting the chief of police. Kind of weird, that's all she wrote. You are in my thoughts and prayers in perpetuity. Now, mind you, I don't even have the chief of police's phone number, and why would I? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monologuing. I'm Mads Mitch, and I am your host today and always because, well, quite frankly, this is literally my podcast, so who else is going to host it? Happy freaking Monday. It is Monday, August 18th, and I am out of breath. If I sound like I'm out of breath, it's just because I am. I'm a little bit hopped up right now on adrenaline and a little bit of rage. If we're being transparent with ourselves, if we're all going to be honest, if this is like in the spirit of full disclosure, I want to let you know that the very first episode of Monologuing that came out last week, that did take me 6 hours to record and film. 6 hours, start to finish. And that's not including, editing it and like all of the other fun things that kind of went in preparing it. That's not included. It's just the act of sitting down to speak took me 6 hours. And I love nothing more than to speak uninterrupted for many, many moons. But even I was like, okay, I'm over this. Can I shut my trap now? Like, would anyone mind if I could just kind of shut my trap? If I were to just shut the hell up, would anyone mind? And people would, evidently, because my camera was mad at me. I used one camera, it overheated. And Mercury is in retrograde, in case you were wondering. I had every technological issue you could possibly have. I knew there would be a learning curve to add in filming the podcast in addition to recording it. I knew that was going to happen. But I was not expecting it to be a 6 hour long learning curve. And so then I sat down today to record the second episode of Monologuing, and I had so much gusto. I had so much confidence. I was like, hell yeah, I've worked out the kinks. I know what I didn't know when I recorded episode 1. This is great. I'm in such a great space. I also have this new gargantuan mic stand. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing it right now. It is a behemoth, like unnecessarily so. And I am afraid to touch it because I just kind of fear it'll collapse in on itself and that will ruin everything. I'm afraid to touch anything right now if I'm speaking my truth. So if I'm weirdly still for this entire episode, that's why. Because I sat down, I recorded a few different intros, and then my cameras just said no. No. It just stopped recording out of nowhere. Full battery, brand new SD card. Like there's no reason for it to have done that. And yet here it is. So I am living a little bit in constant fear, which is actually very fitting with the theme of this week's episode, because this week we're checking in on the LinkedIn crazies, the LinkedIn nut jobs. I've done an episode on this topic. I think it's probably close to 2 years ago now, where I went to this Reddit thread, this subreddit that's called LinkedIn Lunatics, and they just really provide you with everything you could ever need and more. I think I've long said this, the fakest form of social media is LinkedIn. People are their fakest selves on social media. It's like performative professionalism in a way that is really, really, really entertaining when you are in the mood for it. And so today we will be making fun of people on LinkedIn, and that's just like one of my favorite pastimes. It's one of my favorite hobbies. So we will be diving into that in Act 2, but first, let's let Act 1 commence, and I'm going to fill you in on everything that I've been thinking about recently. I started watching the show Buccaneers on Apple TV. It was highly requested. Some of the prison guards recommended it when we did our like summer favorites episode. But also I was just seeing so many TikToks about it because season 2 just came out in June. So there was kind of like a resurgence of people talking about it on social media. I don't even think I was aware of it when season 1 was out. I know that was many years ago. Like it was one of those shows that had a huge break in between season 1 and season 2, but I don't even remember hearing about it back then. And I love it. I really, really love it. It is like a period drama. It takes place sometime in the distant past. I have literally no concept of time, so I'm just like kind of along for the ride in that sense. I love Bridgerton, but that's the only show in that genre that I've ever watched. And so I was kind of hesitant to, I was going to say trepidatious. Is that a word, and would I be using it correctly? Definition of trepidatious. That's not even a word. Trepidations. Oh, fear and anxiety. Trepidatious. That must be the adjective form of it. Anyways, I was feeling rather trepidatious about watching a different show in that genre. Because I'm like, is it just Bridgerton that I like and that's it? I don't know. And there was only one way to find out. I did watch The Buccaneers while I was suffering from my affliction of double dry socket post wisdom tooth surgery. I am like halfway through season 1. I'm watching it much slower than I watch any other show because I really do have to be in the mood for it. Like, it is a drama. It is a drama at its core. And I respect that, but I'm not always in the mood for it. It's a great show. I'm like, yeah, I've barely watched any episodes, but I love it and I think you should watch it. I really, really do recommend it. I've been trying to get all my friends to watch it. And because I don't think enough people are talking about it. And I feel this way about every show on Apple TV. Every time, except for like Severance, which I don't even watch, but everyone's obsessed with that one. I feel like for the most part, there's so many shows on Apple TV that people don't pay any mind to, and they're amazing. So go watch The Buccaneers if you're into that kind of thing. Even if you're not, oh well, you'll figure it out. It's a really good show. Another show that I watched was a docu-series on Hulu called Mr. and Mrs. Murder. Now, this is it very much like, if I'm talking about like the documentary as a whole and saying like, do you think it was good? That's a tough question. It's kind of shot like it's a Dateline, which I don't love Dateline because of the way that it is produced. It makes me scream. Every Dateline episode, if you've ever watched Dateline ever, this will resonate with you. Every Dateline episode, they start the show and they're like, and this is what our case is about. And they give you a sneak peek of every single thing that happens in the case. It can't even be considered a sneak peek at that point. They just like show you everything that's involved in the case. And then they're like, and now let's get into it. And they start with, you know, like, oh, this woman grew up in a small town and she was beloved and was, you know, prom queen and class president, right? And then it's like, okay, and when we come back, more on blah, 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 and it'll show previews of what's to come. And then it'll come back and it'll say, so what we know is, and it'll show you what they just told you about. And then it'll cut to, okay, here's like a teeny bit of more information. And then it goes, all right. And when we come back, it is literally 50% of the show is showing you what's to come or what you already know in a way that drives me insane. And so this docuseries is a little bit reminiscent of Dateline in the sense where it's giving back burner. It's giving like, maybe this perhaps wasn't priority one, and that's fine. And that's fine because I was really enthralled by the story, and that's really all that matters, because the story was about this Tallahassee couple. And I feel like it's very rare. I am not really a true crime person anymore. I used to be, but then I discovered, oh, that could be maybe not helping your crippling anxiety, your pre-existing crippling anxiety disorder. Like maybe we should do something to help ourselves, right? And so I haven't really listened to any true crime podcasts in the past few years, honestly. I started to rewatch Criminal Minds for like 3 days, and then I was like, nope, I can't do this. And I wanted to. I love Criminal Minds because I love the characters themselves, but the storylines are just too spooky. They're too spooky, and I am apparently a baby. But I think with documentaries and docuseries, those like read a little bit different to me, which is funny because it should be the opposite. I don't know, but like it doesn't. I don't know. I guess it's just the way that it's presented isn't like really like fear inducing. It's like storytelling. I don't know. But I watched this documentary and I feel like it's rare, I was saying, that I watch a documentary about a true crime thing that I haven't heard anything about. Like I feel like that's so rare that you go into something totally blind. So I was excited about this one because I'd never heard of this case. I'd never heard of these people. So it was all just brand new information to me, which made it fun. And it was just like a crazy, crazy case start to finish. So Mr. and Mrs. Murder, can't recommend it enough. They also, they like pulled in a lot of good people from their real life in a way that was very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. So love. And I can't recommend that enough either. After I like feel like both of my show recommendations are like, I like kind of like them, but you should watch them. But I promise it wouldn't be getting a recommendation from me if I didn't wholeheartedly stand by it. What else have I been obsessed with recently? Oh, Solitaire. I am playing the hell out of Solitaire recently. I play on this app called Offline Games, which I downloaded once when I was getting on a plane. And it has every game you could think. It has so many games on it. And I love it. I never thought I'd be a Solitaire person. And it's, as I'm saying it, it sounds sadder than how I anticipated it to sound, but I'm loving Solitaire recently. I always have to have a game on my phone because, you know, I'm an iPad child, but I also am a You Got Games child. I always have to have a game on my phone that I'm like currently obsessed with to play while I'm watching anything on TV, because one screen is never enough for me. So I like having a game that I can like loosely be focusing on while also focusing sort of on what's happening on the TV. As I say that, it does sound like a little bit of a problem. I also want to update you on my seafood boil. I made a seafood boil last week and I was so excited for this. I can't stress enough how excited I had landed myself on Seafood Bowl. That's how they say it down south, Seafood Bowl. I had landed myself on Seafood Bowl TikTok and I was obsessed with it. I was eating it up in perpetuity. I was like obsessed with every single video that was coming across my page. Couldn't get enough of it. And I have done a seafood bowl in the Outer Banks a few years ago. We did one, and there's a cool company down there that does it all for you. Essentially, they just give you the gigantic pot full of everything that you need and like all the seasonings, and then you just cook it at home yourself. So I did that, but that was a while ago, and I didn't really participate in that. Like my dad just kind of, he cooked it himself. But this time I was like, I really am wanting to commit to this. Like I am really wanting to spearhead the seafood bowl effort. And so my aunt and uncle were in town, and so it was like, this is a perfect excuse to kind of drum up a gargantuan seafood bowl. And I'm just like so committed to the bit of using the southern pronunciation of it, which is just not, it just is a different word entirely, actually, but that's fine. I've made my peace with it. I hope you can too. And I made a fucking seafood bowl and it was amazing and I loved every second of it. Mine had shrimp. The big thing down south is like crawfish, like crab legs, like that's what I see in a lot of theirs. But this is a New England seafood bowl. Okay, so it had shrimp, it had lobster, it had sausage, it had corn, it had potatoes, onions, seasoning. I did receive my first ever, and this is like a really massive hit to my ego. I knew this day would come at some point. I knew, because the untrained eye unfortunately exists. Like people out there are living with an untrained eye, and I can't do anything about that except suffer the consequences of it, which is what I did when I posted a picture of my seafood bowl and someone said, no seasonings. Are you on drugs? There are so, my dog just looked at me like, no, bitch, are you? There were so many seasonings in this seafood bowl. But the thing is you put the seasonings into the gigantic pot of water. So when you pull everything out of it and you drain it, it doesn't look seasoned because the seasoning is in the water. Does that make sense? It was a really tough hit to my ego, because how dare you, first of all? How dare you? You think I'm going to make a seafood bowl with no seasoning? That's disgusting. That's just like boiled shrimp. Ew. Ew. That's just boiled potatoes and corn. Ew. You think I'm not... Sorry, I'm getting really sidetracked here, but that really, it pissed me off. It pissed me off. So the Southerners, they do a lot of crazy things with their seafood bowls. Like I saw this one video where the guy, instead of using water, uses like fruit punch. And that's about as American as it gets, I fear. I opted to use water. I used water. I used some beer, which is another common thing. I was just like, this was a very experimental seafood bowl for me, since it's my first little foray into this world. But there's just something about having a gigantic pot and being able to throw food in it and stir it. I guess what I'm getting at is I would like to be a witch. I would love to be a witch and kind of make a witch's brew and have a cauldron. Like, that is something that's feeling really resonant with me in my soul. But there was something that was really like, it was really hitting the spot. Like, it was like scratching an itch in my brain that I didn't know I needed. So I can't recommend enough a seafood bowl. I did it outside, which was great because I just felt like, I don't know, I felt free. Like, I'm out in the wilderness, i.e. my backyard, and I am just having the time of my life. And it came out really, really great. I'm not going to lie. It was amazing. And I served it with this garlic Old Bay butter that was also amazing. I was obsessed. It was a fabulous experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend. There's just like, I don't know, something about it just kind of hits. I kind of felt the same way of like when I started grilling a lot, when I got really into grilling. Yeah, that's what it felt like. I was just like, yep, this is actually, maybe it is because it's like stereotypically something that a man does. And so when I do it, I feel this like immense sense of pride of like, okay. And this wasn't even that hard. How hard can it be? Boys do it. Oh my God, someone should put that on a t-shirt. Oh wait, I do. So that's what I've been up to. I've been making seafood bowls, and I have been watching Buccaneers sometimes and watching documentaries also sometimes. The day that I did the seafood bowl, though, I did the photo shoot for the new podcast cover art that morning. And so that day was 16 years long for me. It was the longest day of my life, and it was just the juxtaposition of the two main events of the day. One where I was dressed in a literal ball gown, parading on stage, taking pictures and making videos, cut to me in a lobster shack just a few hours later. Just me standing in a lobster shack ordering lobsters. Very daunting environment, by the way. That felt to me like the equivalent of like a mechanic shop, like going into a mechanic shop and just being like, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's kind of how I felt in this lobster shack, but they were very, very nice there. Also, there was this teenage girl working, which I was like I was so impressed because I'm like, really, of all the summer jobs you could have, like, I really commend your effort that you are working here at the lobster shack. And she was showing us the difference between two different kinds of lobsters, because what do I know? And she just is like reaching her hands in the tank and like pulling them out. And I'm like, you are so brave. You were so brave. And so that was what happened. Was I got lobsters at the lobster shack, and then I went home and I began my seafood bowl, and that was a busy day. As I'm saying it sounds like that's just two things, but it was two very time consuming things, I promise. And it was just two very different worlds. And that reminds me, I also had made red wine sangria, and I just remembered that it did stain my sweatshirt, and I have not washed that sweatshirt, and that is deeply, deeply unfortunate. But this is a fabulous reminder. If you also sitting at home perhaps have a red wine stain on something, make sure to just kind of get that in the wash today. Let's both kind of tackle these things simultaneously. Okay, moving on to Act 2. Let's get into the LinkedIn crazies. I am so excited personally. Okay, I would say the theme of these LinkedIn crazies, lots of using their children for their business, lots of using things that their children have said, or more likely using fake things that their children have said, using fake things that there's no way in hell their kids have ever said, to promote their business. And also, I would say just douchebags. That's the other category. So it's douchebags and like weaponized use of children. That sounds, and when I say it like that, I wish I hadn't. Okay. All right. So we have this guy who posted this like article. He says the majority of people search for jobs only on LinkedIn. That's a huge mistake. Bold thing to be posting on LinkedIn, by the way. Not very much of a ringing endorsement there. But then the fun thing is that he commented on his own post. And this brings up a really, really, really great point that I had never considered. People do have LinkedIn burner accounts. Under what circumstances would any one human being require a LinkedIn burner account? Are you okay? And the answer to that question is a resounding no. I think we all kind of knew that. But he comments on his own post and he says, great insights, insert his name here. Your recommendations on remote job platforms and AI courses are invaluable. This will surely guide many professionals toward better opportunities. Keep sharing such empowering content. Come on. Who would ever comment that on anyone's LinkedIn post ever? Ever. No one. No real life person with a real life would ever post that ever on anyone's post. That is so aggressively bizarre. And that comment does have 4 likes, but it's just people laughing at it. That's embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. Like, why would you feel the need to compliment yourself using a burner account? And then it's like, if you are going to do that, I know that's a thing that we've seen. We've seen it in the zeitgeist of people trying to comment on their own posts, but they accidentally use the original account that they posted from. Do we not know, like, check your work? Like, at the very least, like, if you're gonna be a weirdo and have a LinkedIn burner account to hype up yourself on your LinkedIn posts, the very least you can do for all of us is check your work and make sure that you're not actually commenting from your own account. That's just embarrassing. Save us all the secondhand embarrassment. All right, now we have another one. This is from a person who works in marketing and communications. And that's what it says in their little blurb. Today I ate 2 regular burgers instead of 1 double. Just like information you couldn't waterboard out of me. Like, why are we sharing this on LinkedIn? What are we doing? Not because I was extra hungry. Okay, maybe a little. But because it lets you feel more of everything. The pickle, the onion, the crisp edge of the patty. Every ingredient gets its moment. Every layer stands out. Yeah, you can tell this person works in marketing because why are you trying to make eating 2 burgers sound revolutionary when what it is at its core is eating 2 burgers? That's like, okay. And honestly, same goes for business. Sometimes it's better to have 2 focused specialists than 1 stacked generalist. You get clarity, you get depth. You don't drown in the flavor in too much of everything at once. Give your team space to be great at one thing, and maybe give yourself a second burger too. And then he used the hashtag burger logic, a hashtag I frequently find myself scrolling through. I'm always like, what's going on the hashtag burger logic? Sorry, I literally can't speak. I don't know why that's a tongue twister. Burger logic. That's insane. That is insane. That's a textbook example to me of the way that the people on LinkedIn find anything in their real life and are able to relate it back to business in some form or fashion. And honestly, it is kind of impressive that you like went to McDonald's and got 2 burgers and you're like, this actually does relate to having generalist versus specialist. And I've never really thought of it like that. But that makes me at my core very, very, very sad. Cause just, hey man, just enjoy the burger. Not everything has to be like formatted and functioned into how can I post about this on LinkedIn. You can just eat the burger. I give you permission. I henceforth give you permission to just eat the burger and just enjoy your lunch break. Just try that one on for size. There's just no need. There's no need. And I will say, like, it was a great metaphor. Like, he did a good job, but it's just, I just go back to, also, did that happen? That's another thing that I go back to, because any person, why would you be getting 2 different hamburgers? Why wouldn't you just get a double cheeseburger? Why? I just feel like maybe this is all a lie, which there is an air of that to everything that I see on LinkedIn. Is I just feel like maybe a little bit all of this is 100% false ? Like, that is how I feel about it sometimes. But Maybe that's just me, except I know it's not. All right, let's see what this person says. This one's from a woman, and she works in tech and marketing recruiting. Okay. Received an email from a candidate. Their phone number shocked me. Their phone number is like 911. A job seeker reached out to me this week. Strong resume and aligned experience. Everything checked out. Then I saw it. Their phone number. 555-867-5309. Did you just dox this person? And by proxy, did I just dox this person? I'm assuming that's a fake phone number. She writes, no dashes, no spaces. Am I supposed to decode your contact info like that? My brain doesn't compute these 10 digits without a text break. Use the dashes. And then she writes an example. 555-867-5309. It's clean. It's clear. Okay. Am I supposed to decode your contact info like that? What? Decode it? There's nothing there to decode. It is simply 10 digits. If you look at a series of 10 digits following where it says phone number and you think it needs some element of decoding, I can't help you. That's something I'm finding myself unable to assist you with at this point in time or ever moving forward. I'm confused. It's the nitpicking. There is something that I will say that I've noticed on LinkedIn, and I noticed this a lot when I was in the midst of my job search several years back, which I never got one. Oops, because this is it now. But when I was in the middle of that time of my life, I was like on LinkedIn excessively, and I was watching, like my whole social media feed became about LinkedIn and how to apply for jobs better and how to interview better and it was exhausting. But it was very, very interesting because something I noticed is that like recruiters do have like a holier than thou attitude, because they're on this like weird power trip of like, I am the one in charge of whether or not you get an interview. I am the one in charge of whether or not, you get a job offer, essentially. And the way that they let that power go to their head needs to be studied by Freud. I need Freud to come back from the dead and look into that, because you are not God. This is a man. Okay. This man's bio says bringing hope, healing, and heaven to marketplace leaders. I bet this will be weirdly religious for no reason. Let's see. In quotes, excuse me, sir. In another set of quotes, I have a 3 F-bomb limit and you've clearly exceeded that. What? This was my wife's response to the loudmouth business tycoon that came in hot and heavy on the plane. I don't think you know what hot and heavy means, sir. Okay. He's coming in hot and heavy on the plane. Is that really what you meant to say? Like, I just feel like we need to walk that one back and try again. Also, he put business tycoon in air quotes, which is giving jealous a little bit. Like on LinkedIn, that's kind of giving jealous. I'm sorry. He was more than cocky, arrogant, or braggadocious. Just a jerk. Okay, well, those are all synonyms. And also, I would say being a jerk is less than being cocky, arrogant, and braggadocious. His response, who are you, one of those Jesus freaks? Sorry, I'll take things that didn't happen for 600. That's not real. A woman on a plane asks you to stop swearing because you've dropped 3 F-bombs. Also, I'm having so many thoughts as I'm speaking. It's crazy. My brain is finally turned on and functioning for the day. Calling the F word, I don't know if I'm gonna have to bleep any of this for YouTube, which is why I'm being a little bit careful right now. No, I'm not. Calling the word fuck an F-bomb at an age wherein you are consistently posting on LinkedIn should not be allowed. Okay. The F-bomb? Stop. Grow up. Grow up. What are you, on the middle school playground? Oh, he dropped an F-bomb. There's something so juvenile about calling it an F-bomb. That's like, even every time I have to say it, like, I don't want there to be record of me saying F-bomb on the internet because I'm not a fucking dweeb. Let the record show I'm not a fucking dweeb. And I'm and I'm also not one of those people that needs to swear to seem cool. There is a happy medium here, I think. Okay, anyways, as I was going back to the fact that there's no way in hell that this happened, a woman is like, hey, can you maybe not be swearing so much on this plane? What are you, one of those Jesus freaks? What? No one. Okay, I'm sorry. There's no one in the world that's hearing someone in public transportation complain about you swearing loudly. Why is your mind going immediately to Jesus? Because let me tell you something. As a non-Jesus freak myself, I'm assuming this man is also not a Jesus freak based on his use of the term Jesus freak in a derogatory sense. As a non-Jesus freak, Jesus is not at the front and center of my mind ever at all. Never, I would go as far to say. So there's just no way that he is relating that back to Jesus. That's just something that isn't happening. This is giving like Christians are the most oppressed group in this country. Like that is kind of what this is giving. Which is interesting. Okay, so he says, who are you, one of those Jesus freaks? And then the wife chimes back in and she says, well, if by freaks you mean I love the Lord with all my heart, seek to serve others before myself, and live obedient to his calling in my life, then yes, I am a Jesus freak. Just a moment of silence for how unreal all of this is. What did she no, that's... I have a headache thinking about this happening in real life. No one would say that. No human being speaks like this. No human interaction that I've ever experienced ever in my entire life has ever felt like this at all, ever. I can't stress that enough. She stopped him in his tracks. No, she didn't. Okay. Those around her clapped and whooped. They whooped. They did not whoop. There was nary a whoop on this plane, and you know it. That shut him up for the next few hours. No, it didn't. I wonder if that encounter reached him. It didn't. Either way, proud to have a tiny but mighty warrior next to me in life. What the fuck? Sorry. In any other context, maybe I would find that like appealing and sweet. The idea. And then he posted a picture of him and his wife. The idea of my husband posting this made up story on LinkedIn, which by the way, Jesus probably wouldn't be down with you lying for your business for LinkedIn. And he's like, this tiny but mighty warrior. Am I a child? Hi, am I a sixth grader? What do you mean tiny but mighty warrior? Those are the weirdest words to use to describe your life partner. This tiny but mighty warrior. What the hell? That's just like, ew. And also keep it to yourself. But more importantly, ew. Also, as I was digging into the subreddit about LinkedIn, I was seeing a lot about the CEO of that company. What is it? Astronomer? Is that what it's called? Andy Byron, who was at the Coldplay concert. I was seeing lots about that because that was like obviously like huge LinkedIn tea, right? In the world of LinkedIn lunatics, that would be right up there. And I had actually made a TikTok about like how people on LinkedIn are going to be reacting today. And it's like what cheating on my wife at a Coldplay concert taught me about B2B sales. Like I just knew that there was going to be something like that. And there was. And I can't tell if this is real or fake. I do think it is real, which is... you say alarming, but let's dive in. There was a lot that I was noticing because I didn't really want to touch on that much because like that's such old news by the time you're listening to this podcast. It's old news now when I'm recording it, but I did see that there was a lot of fellow CEOs on LinkedIn posting about it, saying like, don't be bashing him because think of his family, think of his wife and kids. And listen, to some extent, I agree 100% because, yeah, like that's something to take into consideration, that people bashing on and sensationalizing this scandal doesn't just affect him. It also does affect his family. And that sucks. That is something that he perhaps should have considered before he entered into an affair. But that's kind of I was going to say besides the point, but it's actually right on the point. But it was just interesting to see this influx of fellow CEOs not defending him per se, but being like, well, let's take it easy on the guy. Let's hear him out. Let's see what he had to say. Let's not go too hard, too fast. You know what I mean? It was kind of giving, you're telling on yourself. All right. This says, sometimes we all need to take a step back. After recent events that have gone viral online, we know Andy Byron is facing a storm of public scrutiny. What was meant to be a joyful night at a Coldplay concert. This is what I hate, is so many people are like, what was meant to be just like a nice, beautiful night at the Coldplay concert with his mistress turned into something awful. No, that was already bad though. Do you not understand? Like, in no way, shape, or form should he have been enjoying a joyful night at a Coldplay concert with his mistress. So that's why no one feels bad. Do you understand? Okay. Turned into something very different for him, his family, and everyone watching. At Corporate Stays, we don't believe in cancel culture. We believe in second chances, in reflection, in the space people need to breathe, think, and find their way forward, personally and professionally. That's why we're offering Andy a free, fully furnished apartment at Arcadia, our newest building in Panama. Panama? That's so random. A place where he can unplug, stay off the radar, and focus on what matters most, understanding the consequences of his actions and choosing his next move with intention. You're kidding. You're kidding. Life happens, mistakes happen, and when it does, you need people who don't judge, but support. Andy, the door is open. Vlad. What the flying fuck? Okay, one thing I do want to say that is really pissing me off. At Corporate Stays, we don't believe in cancel culture. No one is trying to cancel this man. The use of the term cancel culture, specifically when it's used by boomers, I have no patience for at all, ever. No one is trying to no one cares about this guy. Like, in order to cancel someone, they would have to be a popular figure that is like widely adored. No one fucking knew who Andy Byron was before this. So no one is trying to cancel him. Also, if it's just suffering the consequences of your actions, that's not cancel culture. That's not what that means. It's just like a aggressive misuse of the term. Like, no one is canceling this man because no one knows him. No one cares. He is not important enough to cancel. And if that sounds like a burn, good. Like, that was the point of it. It was supposed to be a burn. I just like, I hate that. Like, oh, he's fallen victim to cancel culture. It kind of also, once again, puts the blame back on everyone else for getting mad at this man who is cheating on his wife, instead of being like, okay, yeah, he did something wrong. I don't know. It adds a certain layer of exoneration that I am not down with. Okay. Next up, we have this woman who works at Capital One. Am I doxing her? No, it says that in her bio. Capital One, creator growth. Okay, that's what it says. I survived week 3 of my first corporate job. Here's what I've learned coming from the POV of a 20-year-old new grad. Okay. The company has a lot of free swags, events, and food. Okay. I'm no longer surrounded by people in my age group. Lots of people are engaged, married, and have kids. Yep. People are dressed more professionally. Okay. Your assignments and deliverables aren't as clear as they are in college. I feel like corporate makes you comfortable, but also stressed out, if that makes sense. I don't know if I survived since I cried in the bathroom and my glasses broke, RIP, but I would like to think of it as part of the associate experience. Is corporate a universal or subjective experience? Follow along as I document my journey and 20s as a working Gen Z. I feel like things like this are just kind of giving young people a bad name, because it's things like, yeah, believe it or not, in your corporate job, there will be people who didn't just graduate college. That's to be expected. It's things that, I don't know. I just think sometimes I think I also put a lot of pressure on fellow young people, fellow young professionals, because I'm like, can we not be the stereotype? Can we not be what people think we are, which is like entitled and like stupid sometimes. Like I sometimes I get mad when I see other people like my age being that way? Am I fucked up? Am I the asshole here? But just because I'm like, can we not, like, can we prove them wrong? Can we just all kind of collectively prove them wrong? That would be really great. It would help everyone. It would be beneficial to literally everyone. If you can help us work on being taken more seriously, I think that would be a net positive for everyone. I don't know. I just feel like, okay. And these are things that's just like, yeah, like nice to note, but we didn't need to post about it on LinkedIn, I think. And I think that's kind of a common phrase, a common theme with so many of these posts is just like, okay, awesome. And that's it. And that's it. All right, this one's from a legal recruiter. She says, in quotes, "How's your legal recruiting agency doing? Our 2.5-year-old daughter a few times a day." That's... sorry, it doesn't say daughter. It just says our 2.5-year-old. He sees his mom and dad working at coffee shops, podcast recordings in our home office, phone calls with lawyers and firms, pizza when we're celebrating a placement. He's asking what law firms are and what they do. He wants to be involved. No, he doesn't. He's 2.5. He wants to be involved. Is this real? Like all of them, I'm like, there is a certain element of like, is this at all real? Is there any truth to this at all ever? We built this business for a lot of reasons: to help lawyers make strategic lateral moves, to build freedom for our family, and to model entrepreneurial skills for our kids. We're still figuring out how to involve him in the agency, but he's watching, learning, and asking to help. He's 2.5. He's asking to help with your legal recruiting agency. That's also just not real. If you're a working parent, what do you want your kids to learn from the work that they see you doing? And if anyone has any ideas for involving your child in your business, we're all ears. See, this is why I'm like, I can't tell if this is real or not, because obviously it starts off with a quote from the child that is giving, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. There's literally nothing real about that at all, ever. It's incredibly fake. But then to add in the like, well, we started our business for these reasons. And like, if you're a parent, what do you want your kids, like those sound real to me. Like that sounds real. And so that does scare me, because your 2-year-old did not say that. You could be suffering from psychosis. Like that's just inherently not real at all, even a little bit, even ever at all. Ever? No, thank you. That didn't happen. I just had to take a little break, and I stubbed my toe on my way to put my camera in the freezer because it was overheating, which is really suspicious because I used this camera for 6 hours the other day and I didn't have any problems with it. So I don't know why it's overheating after not even one. I'm scared. Do you see how Mercury is working against me here today? Anyways, I'm back and I'm ready to talk shit about this 2.5-year-old. At this point, I'm not even convinced that the child is existing. I'm not sure. Maybe you made up the entire thing. My biggest concern, though, has to be, if anyone has any ideas for involving your child in your business, he's 2.5. What's he gonna do? Become your corporate accountant? What place could you possibly have for a 2.5-year-old in a workplace? Oh, wait, answered my own question. Just answered my own question. There is no place for a 2.5-year-old in a workplace. What? And that was something I thought we all knew and could agree on. Ever heard of, you say, child labor laws? That's why I think it has to be a joke, right? It has to be. But then I don't know. Maybe it isn't. You never know. And this man says, "Precious letter from my family today. What a great way to start a vacation day. Yes, Amazon changed our lives in just 10 years. Thank you, all authentic leaders." What? He's also capitalizing really random letters in a way that doesn't need to happen. But okay, here's a letter from his family. "Dear Daddy, today does not only mark 10 years of working at Amazon, it also marks 10 years of hard work, determination, dedication, and playing hard after working very, very hard. You joining Amazon on 8/4/2015 has added so much to our lives. Thank you, Daddy, 'From' blank." 'From' blank. 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 ' Stop exploiting your children and stop making it seem like your children are much smarter than they are. And I'm not saying that as a diss to children, because they're children. Children should be children. Children aren't writing letters saying, you joining Amazon on 8/4/2015 has added so much to our lives. How old are we supposed to believe this child is? That's a great question that I have, because the writing makes it look like they're maybe in 4th grade. There's no way a 4th grader is saying, today does not only mark your 10 years of working at Amazon, it also marks 10 years of hard work, determination, dedication, and playing very hard after working very, very hard. That accent got away from me. I don't know what that was. It was a mix of British, Australian. It was Australian. Your 4th grader is not writing letters that say, today does not only mark 10 years of working at Amazon. No 4th grader talks like that. No 4th grader talks like that. Also, it's just kind of an odd thing. I don't like writing your dad a letter for 10 years of being at a company. Why are you doing that? I mean, like, it's nice to celebrate milestones, like no tea, no shade. It just like that to me kind of adds to the disbelief, right? Because like, why is that a thing that's happening anyways? I don't know, but I would like to know. Moving on. Okay. Oh, this is another thing that for sure didn't happen. A lady at the gym. Oh, wow. Abu Dhabi? Is that because of your husband's job? Like, I hate when they drop us in the middle of the story, because what are you talking about? A random lady at the gym approaches you and says, oh, wow, Abu Dhabi? Is that because of your husband's job? What? Like, were you wearing a t-shirt that said, I just visited Abu Dhabi? Were you talking to someone and you mentioned Abu Dhabi? No one approaches someone at the gym and just says, oh, wow, Abu Dhabi? Is that because of your husband's job? No one has ever done that ever. Literally ever. But okay. I froze. Paused my music. Took a deep breath. Counted to 3. Then I smiled and said, no, I'm flying to Abu Dhabi on a business trip with the fund that I work at, where we raise millions and invest in startups and deep tech technologies. Her jaw dropped like she saw Beyonce at the local gym. What the fuck? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? What? I feel like I'm missing every piece of context ever that could have helped me in understanding this story. A random woman at the gym approaches you and says, oh, wow, Abu Dhabi, is that because of your husband's job? Which is, again, I just can't emphasize this enough. That's not a real thing that real people say in real life, ever. Who would ever, if you heard, oh, I'm going to Abu Dhabi, why would you ever say, oh, is it for your husband's job? What do you mean? What do you, like, just out of nowhere, not knowing this person's a stranger to you? Why would you ever say that to anyone? That just doesn't make any sense. Okay. And I love her description of how she has to calm herself down. She froze. She paused her music. She took a deep breath. She counted to 3. Okay. Like, was that all necessary? I'm flying to Abu Dhabi on a business trip. Like, also, invest in startups and deep tech technologies. Is that not redundant? Deep tech technologies? That feels redundant to me, at least. I don't understand. Her jaw? No, her jaw didn't move because her jaw doesn't exist, because she doesn't exist. None of this is real. Also, you're low-key comparing yourself to Beyonce. That's risky. That is risky, babe. Because you're saying her jaw dropped like she had just seen Beyonce at the local gym, which is where you are. And her jaw is dropping at you. So you, by proxy, are the Beyonce in this situation. I'll tell you what Beyonce's not doing. She's not making up stories and posting them on LinkedIn. So why don't you politely check yourself and then check yourself in? This one, listen, this one I do have every confidence in the world is real, and that for better or worse, unfortunately. Do you know what I'm saying? This man says, I peed the bed on my honeymoon. Now, Now, for context, just to circle back, this is on LinkedIn. He is starting a LinkedIn post with, I peed the bed on my honeymoon. And in case you're wondering, oh, I hope he included a wedding picture, he did, which, why would you ever put anyone through that? Not exactly one of my proudest moments. I just remembered this incident after my CrossFit session this morning because I was feeling thirsty, so I'll recount it for you. What? After my had to find a way to weave in the CrossFit session. Okay. After my CrossFit session this morning, because I was feeling thirsty, so I'll recount it for you. Is this the first time you've drank water since you peed the bed on your honeymoon? Like, I'm confused. We just flown to Seattle to celebrate the most memorable milestone of our lives. We hit up a fish market to challenge our taste buds. I don't know what got into me, but for some reason, I decided to get this spicy crab soup with this really red broth. What are these descriptors you're using? Are they really adding to the story? Ask yourself that. It was the spiciest soup I'd ever tasted. So much that I drank an entire bowl of it. What? How does one equal the other? It was the spiciest soup I've ever eaten, so I drank the whole bowl of it. Those two things don't make sense together. Okay. To cut a long story short, I woke up at 3 a.m. in a puddle. Didn't need that descriptor either. Had to wake up my brand new wife and say, I think I peed the brand new sheets. I was pretty sure this wasn't what for better or for worse was supposed to mean. She laughed and we still joke about it years later. That moment taught me something crucial. You don't need to take yourself too seriously. In business, I see leaders who are so afraid of looking like idiots that they never take real risks. They won't admit mistakes. They won't ask for help. They won't share vulnerable stories that connect with people. The leaders who last are the ones who can laugh at themselves. When you're willing to look ridiculous, your team feels safe to try bold new ideas. When you admit that you don't know everything, they bring you their best insights. My team knows I'm not perfect. Like when I hired an attorney who just lost his license in not one, not two, but 3 different jurisdictions. What? Or when I built this hodgepodge of a website that looks ugly even by 2014 standards. Or when I knew to myself that I was the bottleneck in our firm. A leader who can't laugh at themselves creates a culture where everyone is walking on eggshells. A leader who embraces their humanity creates a culture where people bring their whole honest selves to work. If you can survive peeing the bed on your honeymoon, you can survive anything business throws at you. What the I'm rolling my eyes like so aggressively that I'm getting a headache because first of all, he is insinuating that the worst thing that can happen to a person is peeing the bed on their honeymoon. That's just not even a little bit true at all. If you can survive that, you can survive there's worse things. What do you like? That's not the comparison that you think it is. And also, no, you didn't need to share that information with anyone ever at all. And I actually urge you to keep that to yourself next time. Keep it under lock and key. Lock that bad boy up. There was literally no need to share that story. You could have just done the second part of that story. That like, oh, it's important to laugh at yourself so that your company, the company culture, triggered that so that the company culture thrives and people feel safe and they share you could have just said that. You did not, literally under no circumstances did you have to share that you peed the bed on your honeymoon. No one asked for that. It was information literally no one asked for. I feel as though I can't stress that enough. What a weirdo, like complete and utter weirdo. Oh, we got a morning routine and I am excited. I am really excited for this. I intentionally didn't read it because I wanted to get my real, raw, and authentic reaction. This man who is the CEO of some made up thing said, here's my morning routine. 5:30. Okay. You know what? I'll give him credit. 5:30, not the craziest time to wake up. That's honestly like a normal time to wake up for me. I wake up most days at 5:30, I would say. Sometimes I go back to bed. Sometimes I don't though. But that's not crazy. I expected at least 4, if not sooner. Okay, wake up at 5:30. 5:35, a 15-minute outdoor walk for light exposure. Babe, depending on where you are in the world, it is not light out at that time. And depending on the time of year as well. So I feel a bit skeptical of that, but okay, I'll give you some slack there. Maybe it is light enough where you live and you can do a 15-minute outdoor walk. Okay. Then you come home, you do at 5:50, 3 to 5 minutes of breath work. Okay. So just take 3 to 5 minutes to breathe. Something you should have been doing this whole time, but I'm glad that you're giving it the moment it deserves. 5:55, lemon juice with Celtic sea salt. I hope to God you're diluting that with water. That would be rancid otherwise, and just a recipe for acid reflux if you're just drinking straight lemon juice with Celtic sea salt. But I mean, who am I to judge? Then at 6 o'clock, electrolyte drink. I love that you have a specific time to drink electrolytes, which electrolytes I've become more and more skeptical of. Not skeptical, well, skeptical in the sense of, are they doing anything? Do they work? And do we need them? That is more so what it is. Because I really think unless you are doing an excessive amount of exercise, I don't think you really need electrolytes. That's my hot take. And I say that as someone who still to this day does drink electrolytes. 10 minutes in the sauna. Okay. Then at 6:20, we have coffee number 1. I just so far 3 of these items are just different beverages. I wanted to note that. And one of them is breathing. So one time slot for breathing. And this is kind of like when I write myself a to-do list and I'm like, make breakfast. I add that on there. Or fill up water bottle. I don't ever actually put that on a to-do list, but it's like putting something that's like a layup on your to-do list just to make you feel good. I am 100% guilty of doing that 100% of the time that I write a to-do list. So that's kind of like what this is giving is like, and then drink some water and then have a coffee. Cause it's like, yeah, all right. I don't know that we needed to write it out, but it's also interesting. Coffee number 1, he's given himself 10 minutes for. I don't know if that's 10 minutes to make the coffee. Is it 10 minutes to make and then consume the coffee? Those are questions I'm having. Then we have at 6:30 an ice bath for 3 to 6 minutes. So it just depends on the day, I guess. And similarly with the breath work, it was 3 to 5 minutes. So can we even call this a routine? Because some mornings you're doing 3 minutes of breath work and 6 minutes of an ice bath, but then other days you're doing 5 minutes of breath work and 3 minutes of an ice bath. It's like, I don't know what to believe anymore. At 6:40, we're doing a 30-minute workout. Seems weird to do the workout after the ice bath. That's just my own personal thoughts and opinions. And then at 7:10, we have coffee number 2. That's really close to, I would not be done with coffee number 1 at that point. Coffee number 1 was at 6:20, and then at 7:10, we have coffee number 2. I'm a slow drinker, okay? I get that not everyone is, though. Then we have shower and get ready. Write down all my goals, review all bank accounts. He has a designated time slot for 10 minutes. At 7:40 every morning, he's reviewing all of his bank accounts. I don't think that's necessary at all ever. And I say that as a business owner. That's not necessary. Every day, that's not necessary. Write down my goals. I get that. That's nice. Whatever. 7:50, we have coffee number 3. This man has had 3 coffees before 8 a.m. That's not good for the heart. That is not good cardiovascularly, if I had to guess. And then he says he puts an audiobook on when he's drinking coffee number 3. That's great. Oh my God. Wait. Coffee number 3 at 7:50 plus audiobook on. At 8 o'clock, he's arrived at the office. It takes you 10 minutes to make coffee number 3, get your audiobook on, and commute to the office. Where is your office down the hall? Because I feel like it's weird to put arrive at office if it's a home office, because you woke up at your office then, essentially. So arrive does imply that there was some semblance of a commute, which is interesting. Because how did you do all of that so fast? And then he has his breakfast at 8:05 at the office, which is eggs. What are you cooking eggs in your office? You get to the office at 8, and by 8:05, you're eating your breakfast that consists of eggs, avocado, pink Himalayan salt, electrolytes, and more coffee. This man has had so much salt because he had Okay. He had the lemon juice with the Celtic sea salt. And then he had the electrolyte drink, which, by the way, spoiler alert, electrolytes literally just sodium. And then he has eggs, avocado with salt. And he adds in more electrolytes, more salt. And then he has his fourth coffee of the day at 8:05. Mind you, he had coffee number 3 at 7:50. How are you drinking 2 coffees within 20 minutes? And then he's reviewing the calendar and preparing for the day ahead. He says, this is a structure I follow nearly every morning. It keeps me sharp, focused, and operating at a high level. If you want to be successful, you need discipline, consistency, and a routine you can stick to. And a butt ton of salt and so much coffee that your heart is going to explode. I added that last little bit myself. I'm a big believer that success leaves clues and success isn't luck. I'm interested to know what your morning routine looks like. I'm a big believer that success leaves clues and success isn't luck. I feel like this is a riddle that I have to solve. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know. That's a problem for another day, honestly. None of this is sounding real and all of it is sounding made up. So do with that information what you will. I am so concerned about his gut. It just has to be so bloated and his heart has to be beating so fast. That sounds just kind of miserable. Okay. We have another recruiter here who, as we all know, they have an ego. They have a God complex. Let's see what he has to say. Why do some people think it's okay to sit behind a keyboard and be rude to people reaching out to network on LinkedIn? You're on a networking site, sending you a message or 4. He's telling on himself. Sending you a message or 4 to chat to you is literally the whole point of this platform. I tend to put these things down to people having a bad day, and this reply isn't even a bad one compared to some others that I've had in the past. But if next time you think about being rude to someone, just think, would I say this to someone in real life? The answer is usually no. So just say no thanks. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, sure. Don't be rude to someone and just say no thanks. I stand by that. But also, if you are sending 4 messages to someone and they are not replying, take that as a no thanks. Take the hint. And I would be willing to bet 4 isn't the whole story. If I were a betting woman, which I'm not most of the time, I would be willing to say, that's not real. That's a little bit not real. And so he includes a screenshot of this message thread. But the only thing that he's included that you can see that he said is thoughts on jumping on to record a podcast session. That's not a thing people say. Record a podcast session? That's just not real. And this person said back, you might be one of the more annoying and random people to come into my DMs. I have no interest. And I stand by that person. I stand by them wholeheartedly, and I fully agree with everything that they've ever said. Because I know that this person, this man who posted this, he had to have messaged this person way more than 4 times. I know that in my heart of hearts. But to ask a stranger who has presumably not replied to any of your messages that you don't know to jump on and record a podcast with you, that's such an obscure request. Like, that is just so bizarre. I would also say, I would literally say the exact same thing. I would say the exact same thing. This person posted on the day that Ozzy Osbourne died. Ozzy Osbourne passed away. Here are 5 things Ozzy taught me about startups and life. No. Nope. That's just disturbing and weird. And this is what I'm like, that like LinkedIn is a mental illness in that sense, because why are you seeing things like this and thinking, how do I make this into a LinkedIn post? Like, that's not a normal thing. Your life doesn't have to be like this. I promise you that. So this guy says, go ahead, judge a book by its cover. I'm a side gig adjunct professor and teach an intro to graphic design course. One day, a student showed up late to our Zoom meeting. Breathless, she apologized. Sorry, I got totally lost in the best book. It's been so helpful with the family situation I'm dealing with. It's called The Anatomy of Peace. Have you ever heard of it? I smiled and said, flip to the legal page and see who it lists as the cover designer. She did, and she screamed. She screamed. It was my name she saw. As if we didn't put two and two together. She then proceeded to tell me everything she was learning and why the book was so meaningful to her. It was humbling to hear her story and how the concepts in this book had radically changed her thinking about a person in her life. She screamed. She screamed. I don't think she screamed. I would also feel so uncomfortable if I'm like talking about, and did this happen? Because if I'm late to a meeting, first and foremost, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm late because I was reading a book. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to come up with some excuse that sounds, but even if that was the reason why, I'm going to come up with some excuse that's much more valid than getting lost in a book, because I'm not Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I would say something like, oh, I got stuck in traffic, or anything else. Literally anything else. Even though this is a Zoom meeting and it didn't require me being in a car, I would say I would literally come up with any other excuse, because that's not a good one. If someone said to me that they were late to a Zoom meeting because they got lost in a book and I'm the one sitting there waiting for them, like, I'm not finding that sufficiently valid, if we're being honest. And I'm very much pro reading. Can't stress that enough. But to then say, okay, so I was late because I was reading. Oh, what book were you reading? Oh, it's this book. Have you heard of it? It's amazing. It's so good. It's helping me. Yeah. Check the inside cover. Also, he says, what does he say? Go to the legal page. Flip to the legal page and see who it lists as the cover designer. That, and I mean this with all the peace and love in the world, like, that is not the flex that you think it is. It is not okay, it's cool. I'm trying to get my thoughts correct here. Designing a cover for a book, that is objectively cool. Like, I love that for you. That's an amazing accomplishment. Books are so incredible. Art is so important. I've always said those two things. But to kind of associate yourself and the very, 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 in the grand scheme of creating a book, of writing a book, the cover design is like kind of the least important part. And it isn't. It isn't, because obviously if the cover sucks, no one's going to want to pick up the book. So I get that that's like, it is an important part. But I feel like he's kind of acting as if he wrote the book. He's kind of giving himself a lot of credit and being like, it's so humbling to see how this book helped her. Okay, but you didn't write the book though. So it's not, is it humbling? Or is it just like a cool thing? I understand, like, that would be cool. It'd be cool if someone brought up a book and you're like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, I actually did the cover design for that. That's an objectively cool thing. And it's like, what a crazy coincidence, right? Like, that, like, what are the odds that that's the book you're reading? I think there's also something to be said about the dramatics and the theatrics of like, oh, that book? Yeah, flip to the legal page. See what you see there. Because it's like, okay, just, you could have just cut to the chase for us and you could have just said, oh yeah, I wrote that book. The art of like making her go and look for it is just like that's just kind of giving ego. I think we can all agree, hopefully. But wow, that was, what a fabulous trip into the land of LinkedIn crazies. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. This is a reminder for everyone to just go on LinkedIn, give it a scroll. If you happen to see anything crazy on LinkedIn ever, this is a good thing to keep in the back of your mind. If you're on LinkedIn and you see one of these posts in the wild, feel free to send it my way. I could use it in a future episode. I'll keep it all anonymous like I did today. So you don't have to worry about that. But wow, stay safe out there on the fakest social media platform on the planet, LinkedIn. I hope you have a fabulous week. And I will chat with you next Monday. And that's all she wrote. Bye.